Further a sound. Analyzing the music album El Mal Querer, Love in the Wrong Way by Rosalia as cultural and human expression with a feminist purpose by Miguel Flores. One time I was in a class and the teacher asked, has anyone here ever listened to a happy song whenever you're feeling sad? Or maybe listened to a sad song to get even more sad? And most of my classmates answered yes. And this got me wondering, does music actually have the power to influence people's emotions? How? Why? And after thinking, I was still wondering if it might be because music talks about current relevant topics that are relatable to people. One current relevant topic is feminism, and we can see this in El Mal Querer by Rosalia. And this led me to my research questions. What is the message in the music album El Mal Querer by Rosalia, and what it says about society? Also, why is this album significant to the feminist social movement? To answer these questions, I'm going to go through the followings. First, the impact of music on people. Second, story, context, inspiration, and reasons of the message in El Mal Querer. Third, feminist aspects of El Mal Querer. Fourth, how can El Mal Querer be used to help women victims of domestic violence? And finally, the conclusion. I'm going to talk about the significance of the album's human and cultural expression and what it says about society. Let's begin with the impact of music on people. Music, being an auditory interaction, has the power to influence at a significant scale our daily life and the way we look at things. Most people encounter music on a daily basis when they're in the car, stuck in traffic, at the mall, while cleaning the house, or even at the gym. Music is known for having catchy beats and melodies, but there's more to that. When talking about the impact of music on people, one thing music has a lot of influence on is our emotions. Music can have influence in both positive and negative emotions. Research shows A research posted by the Journal of Positive Psychology demonstrates that music can actively improve people's mood. This study had two trials. In both trials, participants noticed the improvement of their moods in a short term and increased their overall happiness for about 2 weeks. Also, music can have a call to action effect. According to an article posted by the United Nations, the fusion of lyrics, rhythm, and instruments can evoke an identity that engages the masses and provokes them to take action. This means that music is able to cause a huge impact on society as a whole, depending on the message the song is delivering. Another reason why music has such an impact is because it talks about current relevant and relatable topics that a large group of people is involved on or being affected by. For instance, a current relevant topic is feminism, and this is reflected in the album El Mal Querer by Rosalia. This album was inspired by the iconic feminist book from the 13th century, La Flamenca. In this album, Rosalia uses a variety of music genres, such as flamenco and rap, as well as lyrical and visual references. Rosalia made use of transsexuality to convey a similar message to the book with her project in music. El Mal Querer is divided into chapters that are meant to tell the story of a woman of Spanish origins who was raised in a patriarchal environment. She is in a toxic relationship and is going into a marriage full of jealousy and manipulations from the man. Additionally, each song has a specific word linked to it intended to represent the specific time in the process of a toxic relationship. But why would somebody want to create specifically a feminist album? Well, the answer is in the environment we live in. The 2020 annual report on gender violence, done by the Observatory Against Domestic Violence, reported that out of the 150,785 of their cases in 2020, about 88.1% of them were found guilty, and 99.6% of those defendants were males. This explains why Rosalia would want to compose a feminist project. The current social issues and struggles are portrayed in music as well. Now, what are the feminist aspects of El Mal Querer? First, lyrics. Lyrics of the songs in the album always represent a strong female role, and we can see this in her song A Ningún Hombre, Capítulo 10, Cordura, which means To Any Man, Chapter 10, Sanity. Here is a little bit of that song. Tu inicial In this song, Rosalia goes on and talks about limits, domestic violence, and the trauma generated by these events. The first verse of the song says, I consent to no man to pass my sentence. Only God can judge me. To him alone I own obedience. This part makes reference to the right of freedom every woman should have, even if they are married. The second verse follows, Until you became my jailer. I was yours, companion, until you became my jailer. This verse talks about limits, when a woman realizes that she's no more willing to suffer and that she deserves better. This part in specific can put listeners, more specifically women, to think about their own limits and analyze if they have experienced anything similar. The chorus of the song says, I am going to tattoo my skin. I'm going to tattoo on my skin your initial because it is mine, to remember forever what you did to me one day. These are the last words in the album, and Rosalia finishes her album by giving a significance to the trauma left on a survivor of domestic violence. Another song where we can find feminism is in her song De aquí no sales, capítulo 4, disputa, which means you're not getting out of here, chapter 4, dispute. The lyrics of this song say, I've still talked to you for so long and you're forcing me to make sure that you don't leave from here. It's hurting me more than it's hurting you. Don't mess with me. With the back of my hand, I will make it clear for you. This song describes how violent a fight can be between a couple, and it prioritizes the emotional and physical damage it can cause. Nonetheless, the lyrics, the lyrics of the song show a strong woman that is brave enough to defend herself. And also, we can see feminism in the video. And here she uses visual arts to promote a feminist message. Here is a little piece of the video. The video shows Rosalia riding a bike and making strong and aggressive motor sounds. This represents how aggressive a domestic violence event can get, and also at the same time, it represents that she's leaving the relationship. Lastly, Rosalia dances to the rhythmic sound of the song with a group of women. This group of women dancing together illustrates the support circle women create when they sympathize with other women victims of domestic violence. Now, how can we use El Mal Querer to help women victims of domestic violence? Well, due to its feminist qualities, El Mal Querer can be paired with music therapy to help women victims of domestic violence with trauma. According to the American Music Therapy Association, music therapy is a clinical and evidence based use of music interventions to accomplish individualized goals within a therapeutic relationship. And some of the benefits of music therapy are that it promotes wellness, it helps manage stress, it alleviates pain, it helps to express feelings, it enhances memory, it improves communication, promotes physical rehabilitation, and more. Now we can utilize this album in music therapy with a feminist approach. This claim works because it has been proven that music can influence people's moods and emotions. When girls and women hear a message of self love and empowerment, they are more likely to apply it to their own life. Some feminist goals would be promoting the empowerment of the client and helping her participate in social change, fostering the development of the client as a human being, including the development of a healthy sex role, assigning the client in overcoming the inequalities towards women. This album is a great resource to help women overcome domestic violence trauma. Music therapy is a good and effective alternative to help with trauma caused by domestic abuse, especially the music album El Mal Querer can be most useful for women in Spanish speaking countries where mental health resources are not as accessible and still have a huge stigma. The use of this album with music therapy would be a cheaper alternative to treat domestic abuse trauma. Now, going back to my research questions, what is the message in the music album El Mal Querer by Rosalia and what it says about society? Well, this album definitely has a feminist message, with the ultimate goal of empowering women by portraying a successful example of survival of domestic violence. This album tells us that we are evolving as a society and changing our mindset, moving away from the patriarchal society concept. Why is this album significant to the feminist social movement? This album is significant because it spreads awareness of domestic violence by delivering the message to a larger group of people. Additionally, it can actually be used to treat domestic violence trauma. Now, moving on to the conclusion. The significance of cultural and human expression in El Querer is that it depicts and talks about a real life issue. This issue is portrayed artistically with music and visual effects. And this issue is something a group of people can relate to and struggle with every single day. This album illustrates the life situation of a large group of women. This album shows that we are evolving as a society and that we are moving away from the patriarchal society concept. It illustrates that we started to think differently, and this album highlights a society mindset change. Thank you. These are my works cited. Thank you.